So I would like to welcome you all to this second lunch talk of the BVK on energy and mobility in transition. So I hope you're all seeing my slides at this moment. So today's talk is by Hans Van Sebroeck from Fluvius, which is the system operator in Belgium, and he will give a talk about greening the vehicle fleet. Before I pass the floor to Hans, I will first make some advertisement for the events that are going to take place. So the Transport Research Days, which will be again in person this year, will take place in June 1 and 2 in Leuven, and the abstracts for this conference are due on the 15th of January. And the next lunch talk will be a little bit later, so after the Christmas holidays will be the next lunch talk on 1st of February. So with great pleasure, I'll pass the floor to Hans.
Okay, thank you, Mario. First, I share my screen.
Yes, we see it.
Okay. So thank you for sharing. Let's me sharing the Fluvius story. Greening of the vehicle fleet. The European Commission target for the climate neutrality requires an energy transition that will present major challenges for the energy systems. And Fluvius have calculated, make some calculations what is necessary to the electric network to help realize the energy transition and the climate objectives in Flanders. So, okay. First, I will mention who is Fluvius, then what we have to do to enable our energy network for the climate energy transition, and what does it mean in practice for the mobility. So, who is Fluvius? I show you a short video to show what's Fluvius' role is as a Flemish distribution system operator in Flanders. So I hope this will work.
As a network company, Fluvius manages the street pipelines and the connections of various utilities, bringing electricity and natural gas to everyone in Flanders. In many places, we also provide our customers with sewerage, internet, television, and heat. We even manage public lighting in Flemish cities and municipalities. Plus, we are building a new and super fast data network for everyone. But Fluvius is also very much part of the energy transition, because the Flanders of the future is climate neutral. That's why we are converting all public lighting to LED bulbs. This reduces energy consumption, as well as CO2 emissions. In addition, we are digitizing and automating the energy grid, installing digital meters everywhere. This allows us to be more flexible with our grids and bring more renewable energy to everyone. This digital grid is also packed full of valuable data that we manage for our customers and for the energy market. Such information is, after all, essential for a sustainable energy landscape. Nevertheless, we must take climate heating into account. The impact of dry and wet periods is becoming more severe. By investing in sewerage, holding basins, and rainwater plans, we are also preparing Flanders for these events. In short, Fluvius is working to create a pleasant living environment for everyone, today and tomorrow. Find out how we're doing it at www.fluvius.be.
So here is a summarization, the key features of Fluvius. We have almost 3.5 million electricity connection points and 2.4 million natural gas connection points. We are, you see Fluvius everywhere in Flanders. And we are active in all 300 Flemish cities and municipalities. But what's the future? From an energy transition point of view, the electricity network will play a key role in this. So the intended climate neutrality by 2050 requires an energy transition, and that's characterized by a significant increase in electrification. This poses major challenges for the energy system. And who is involved in this energy and transition? That is are some topics around mobility, heating of buildings, energy storage, decentralized production, industry and service, and on local challenges. Dus one of the key elements in the energy transition is greening of the vehicle fleets. And we see 4 types of electric vehicles with impact on the grids. So we expect that there will be 1.5 million electric cars in Flanders in 2030. There's a lot of cars that have a connection with the grids. In the longer term, public bus transport will be fully electrified. Will have a full electrification in 2035. And the heating of buildings is also important to make the grid ready. But it's more in the long term. In short term, the most important is to have a grid to support the electrical vehicles. Decentralized production will also have an important role. So solar panels will be everywhere, wind turbines also, and cogeneration that will have less impact in the future. For industry and services, it's a trade-off between expected energy efficiency and expected industrial growth. But there also is a big increase in electrical consumption. Then the batteries. To keep a decentralized electricity network balanced, will also energy storage play an important role. If we look today, there are almost 50,000 home batteries installed in Flanders. Now there's a less compensation in 2024, and it's ending, the compensation. So we expect a slower growth of the home batteries. But there is another solution with electric cars, bidirectional charging. We expect that this will replace the home batteries in the longer term. So in Flanders, there are still major difference in types of electricity networks and power demands. In the historic centers, you see Bruges, Ghent, Antwerp, and most the periphery of Brussels. There are a lot of 230 volt 3-phase networks. So it's not so easy to charge a car with a 230 volt 3-phase network. And there is we also need a solution for this problem. Yeah, that let's make these issues do not make the energy transition easy. And if we look at the current network, then have we luckily no problems to supply the requested power to all existing consumers. But what's the impact of the electrification of the vehicle fleet on the electricity network? We have selected 3 scenarios. High scenarios with 1.9 million electrical vehicles in 2030 in Flanders. We have a simultaneous home charging of 60%. Then a middle scenario with 1.5 million cars in 2030, electric cars, with also 60% simultaneous home charging, and a low scenario. So let's see what is the impact with the middle scenario in 2032. Then we have a lot of congestion in Flanders. So the expected volume of electric cars will not be able to cope with the electricity grids. We have to make important investments in the electricity grids to meet the energy needs of the electric fleets. So we have made an investment plan based on the assumptions of the middle scenario. In the long term, these investments are necessary anyway, so that there can never be any question of overinvestment. And you see, there are a lot of investments. 40% of the low voltage cables have to modify, of to reinforce. For the medium voltage, it's not so big as the low voltage cables. For the distribution cabins, we have to reinforce 1 out of 3 distribution cabins. Also, there are a lot of house connections that have to be modified. Thinking about the 230-volt 3-phase connections that are these house connections. With this investment plan, it's a no-regret action plan. If the scenario will be the low scenario, okay, you have to do the investments anyway. If the scenario will be the high scenario, then you can participate the next years on this higher volume. So a no-regret action plan. And our main actions to make it possible to connect all the electrical vehicles, or to charge all the electric vehicles in 2032, we have 5 actions. A standard connection evolves to 17.3 kVA. That's a 400-volt 3-phase 25 ampere. We accelerated the replacement of low voltage grids with insufficient performance. We accelerated the installation of 400-volt grids next to 230-volt grids. This the 230-volt grids, they have still there, they still exist, but next to them there comes a 400-volt grids. Very important, further digitization of the electricity grids to support future flexibility services. And all these works that we have done, we want to do it with a maximum use of synergy. What kind of investments are these? So you see, we have a regular investments until 32 of 7 billion euro, and additional investments in energy transition will be 4 billion euro. You see here a graphic of the expected growth. And this small investments, that's digital meters. This in 29, everyone have a digital meter in Flanders. So this extra investments in the electricity grid, how about importance of mitigating measures towards 2050? Yeah, we expect that this will limit the cost towards 2050. If you have no mitigating measures, then we need a lot of more investments until 2050. But in the short term, the coming 10 years, we think that these mitigating measures have not so a great impact. If we look at our calculations, you see here the number of our low voltage grids, the length of our low voltage grids. And then you have here the medium impact scenario with the length of low voltage grid that we have to reinforce. And if you have a simultaneous loading of 60%, that will be the investments that we need to do. If you have mitigation measures to lower the simultaneous charging, then see here a simultaneous charge of 30%, here of 15%, then you have to do a lot of less investments, but you need anyway these investments. If you look in the future, in 2050, the investments that we have to do until 2032 here, you do it anyway. And yet, these mitigation measures are still not so developed. So we can not use it yet. Therefore, the no regret action plan. So balancing charging is important, but big impact is less realistic in the first years. And then the capacity tariff. In Flanders, the capacity tariff will introduced on the 1st of January. It's for everyone except the customers with the social tariff. Yeah, you can read on the website of the VREG what are the details of this tariff are. But let's look about the capacity tariff, why we need it. Yeah, essential is the variable nature of renewable energy sources. This creates challenges, extra challenges to match demand with supply. And with the capacity tariff, we want to shift the extra energy consumption of off-peak without the increasing use of EV and heat pumps, translating into higher grid costs for customer. Dus with the capacity tariff, there will be no higher grid costs if as long as the households with an EV and or a heat pump watch their peak consumption. It's if you guard your peak consumption, then you have no more grid costs than at this moment. That's the objective of the capacity tariff. energy consumption shifting outside the peak. So being able to charge 1.5 million EVs, we think it's possible if we provide a combination of sufficient investments and a spreading charge. Charging at home almost doubles your electricity consumption. If you look at a car who drives 15,000 kilometers a year, we have an average consumption of 20 kilowatt-hour each 100 kilometers. Then you have almost 2,000 kilowatt-hour extra energy consumption. This will not only take place at home, it's also at work and on the go. But I think at home and at work is ideal because the electrical vehicle is left unused for a longer period of time. So the charging at a lower power is more than sufficient. How we view home charging in terms of impacts on the grid? Well, the customer can decide for himself, depending on his driving behavior. If you drive not so much kilometers, a single phase charge point is sufficient. If you drive a lot of kilometers, then a three-phase charge point is necessary. And in the future, if there are more flexibility services, then you have to take this also in account to decide if you need a single phase charge point or a three-phase charge point. But the customer can decide. If you have a smart charging behavior, then will you be rewarded with the introduction of the capacity tariff? Now, the classical tariff, it depends on the count of kilowatt-hour that you consume. And with the capacity tariff, it's the count of the kilowatts, the peak demand. So it's better for high power consumption users in case they watch their peak demands. So Fluvius, in this way, Flanders will support the higher electric demand without extra costs for the customer if he watches his peak demand. So the EV, we expect that will be an essential element in the future grid. It's not just charging. You can also use it as a battery. We think on the vehicle to grid and the vehicle to home solutions. It's already possible in Belgium to do bidirectional charging. You have bidirectional charging points. You have cars that support bidirectional charging, but it's not a quite offer of these solutions. But we expect that a lot of more types of cars will offer this possibility. But it's important that there also will be developed available flexibility services. And this is still ongoing, development of the flexibility market. So there is a lot of work to do in this market. What about the charging infrastructure for residential buildings? Well, for the existing buildings, there is no mandatory cabling. But for the new construction and buildings with big renovation, there is is mandatory cabling obligated. That's the only obligation that there is in Flanders. For complex situations like apartments, it's not so easy to provide charging points. Every building has its own problems. So it's a solution that you can, that's only for dedicated buildings. It's a solution on op maat. And there it's important that we have a collaboration with all the parties involved. Fluvius can give a solution. We can offer a connection with the grids. We can offer a heavier connection with the grids. But we say not that is a solution. You have to do charging at your own meter, or you have to do a collective charging. It's to the customer to decide the solution. So cooperation with the parties involved is very important to offer a practical solution, a practical roadmap to the apartment owners. So not everyone can install their own charging station. What about these customers? There we have the government, the Flemish government, where these households can request a public charging station to enable charging near the home. So in this case, at the maximum distance of 250 meters walking distance, you can have a charging point near your home. Then at work, the cars must also have a charging option to facilitate electric mobility. And there is an obligation. Every car park of a large business or company with many employees or visitors must have 2 charging stations by 2025, even if they do not apply for an environmental permit between now and 2025. It's an important obligation. Every parking place with more than 20 parking places needs at least 2 charging points. So Fluvius, there are a lot of requests at Fluvius to provide the necessary power. And not everyone knows how many power he needs to provide his parking for the necessary charging points. And Fluvius thinks along with these customers to make a solution that is that's not too heavy, but that that allows the charging that you expect. And a solution-oriented connection that we will offer. How is this with charging on the go? There is a solution of placing ultra-fast chargers along the major axis to enable bridging longer distance quickly. And at this moment, there are already 400 public fast charging points in Flanders. What's the role of Fluvius? Fluvius takes care of connecting any charging point with the necessary power. For Fluvius, it's also important that all installed charging points are known, because we need this knowledge to be able to better estimate the impact of future flex applications. If we have no knowledge of the charging points, then it's difficult to make future calculations how possible flex applications can avoid congestion on the grid. So we are working to make it easy to report the charging points. Yeah, what should we remember? Yeah, we work with our investment plan to support the climate neutral Flanders by 2050. Energy transition is a leverage to do this. And Fluvius ensures feasible and affordable energy transition. We have to do a lot of investments in networks. And we see two essential fundamentals: there's a digital meter and a capacity tariff. Digital meter to support the digitization of the grids in the future, and a capacity tariff to spread the demand, the power demand. What are the four objectives of Fluvius? Helping reduce the energy consumption, make renewable energy maximally available, making the grids future-proof. Bidirectional charging is already possible, and also create new opportunities for our customers. So electric vehicles, is it a problem? We think not. With smart investments and smart charging behavior, we can make our grid ready and future-proof. So charging preferable at home and at work, and fast charging on the way for support. That are our key points. So that is my presentation to present what Fluvius have done to support the increasing demands on the energy system. Yeah, are there some questions?
Thank you very much for the nice presentation. So if you have questions, please raise your hands, and then you can open your microphone to ask a question. Maybe I have a question regarding the update of the network. I'm living myself in the Limburg province, and there we see that sometimes people having solar panels already have the problem of having too much production of solar energy at certain moments of time. So I guess the reinforcement is also dedicated to tackle this kind of problems, that the transition also from a home perspective towards, for instance, more solar panels is catched, right? And yeah. To what extent do bidirectional loading with your electric vehicle provide a solution also in this?
Yeah. You see it here, Mario, voltage problems on the low voltage grid in rural areas. It's typical for Limburg. The investment plans take in account also these problems. there will also a solution for this problem.
And do electric vehicles are they a part of the solution, or do I see that wrong?
No. It's without because with electrical vehicles it's easier to make to solve this problem because you consume the energy that you produce. So the voltage drop will be an less problem. But we take it not into account, the possibilities of the electrical vehicles to solve this problem.
And maybe I have a related question to that. And part of the solution is the fact that your electricity is demanded at the moments that there is a surplus on production, especially during the day. But I think most installations are at home locations and not necessarily at our work locations. So what initiatives is Fluvius doing, or is the government doing to make sure that the employers, you discussed the law of the requirement of loading points, that's one. Are there other initiatives in that regard that employers are stimulated to provide more charging infrastructure?
The government do each year 2 or 3 project calls, and companies can make use of these project calls to invest in charging infrastructure on their company size. But these connection points have to be public. These are the
Conditions.
The conditions, yeah, thank you. These are the conditions to have the compensation from the governments.
Yeah, because if we look at when we are mainly not using our car, it's mainly when we are at work, and that's the place where most of the solar production is generalized. So I think that's really a big challenge from.
There are also fiscal compensations in place to support installing charging points on the company's parkings.
Okay, thank you. Anybody from the audience that has any question, feel free, don't be shy to ask your questions. So I guess nobody having any question related to this. I think one of the in the scenarios of electrification, you already indicated this, that the types of cars that are allowing bidirectional traffic for electricity are the more expensive cars in the market segment. Do you think this will rapidly change? That more car constructors are providing this type of cars, or what are the perspectives on that?
It's a difficult question. What we expect is that 1.5 million electric cars in Flanders will be there because of the fiscal stimulants in Flanders. The lease cars, there are a lot of lease cars in Flanders. So if there are measures to stimulate to have an electric lease car instead of a combusted lease car. So we think that there will be 1.5 million electric cars in Flanders in 2030. But behind this date, then it's necessary that there will be also cheaper cars. But we hope that with did big volumes of cars, that the price will decrease. But we are not sure. It depends of the car manufacturers.
Yes.
But
maybe
maybe it's like the solar panels. In the beginning, the solar panels were expensive, and now, if you look at the solar panels, it's no question about to do it. It's
a question
you
of
have a return of 2
availability.
years. Yeah, maybe. It's also by electric. It's everywhere the availability.
Yeah.
If you need a Raspberry Pi, no, you can't find it.
Yes.
But the electric car, you find it in 2 years, hopefully.
So one last call for other questions. Feel free, don't be shy. I don't see any hands to be raised, so let's thank you once again for the excellent presentation. The presentation will be made available through the website of the BVIC Gibet, and voila, if there are further questions, and maybe if you want to share the presentation, we could also upload it in the website if that's something you're willing to do. And then we will hopefully see you in many of the other events of the BVIC Gibet. Well, thank you once again, Hans, for the presentation.
Thank you very much, Mario.
The next event will take place the next lunch talk will take place in February. And don't forget for the BVIC Gibet Transport Research Days and your abstracts, they are due by the 15th of January.